Padres starting pitching matchup, give you our keys to the game. Plus, we'll hear from manager Craig Stammen. From the Padres Radio Network, here's Sam Levitt.
San Diego Padres baseball coming up on 97.3 The Fan and the Padres Radio Network. As today, the Padres take on the Colorado Rockies in the first game of a 3-game series. Our starting pitching matchup today for the Rockies, they'll go with an opener, right-hander Jimmy Herget, and for the Padres, right-hander Randy Vasquez. Hi, good everyone. Sam Levitt with you from inside our San Diego studios. First pitch coming up at Coors Field in Colorado at 5:40 p.m. Coming up in the next 50 minutes, we have a lot to do. You'll hear from Padres manager Craig Stammen. You'll hear from Rockies rookie TJ Rumfield. And in just a little bit, we're joined by Jesse Agler. But first, it's time to set the table, brought to you by Fraser Farms Market. Set your table with the highest quality of natural and organic products from Fraser Farms Market, a San Diego original since 1971 with 3 locations, La Mesa, Vista, and Oceanside, and at FraserFarmsMarket.com. Padres enter today 15-7. They are the hottest team in baseball. Padres have won 13 of their past 15 games in 5 consecutive series. Meanwhile, the Rockies come in 9-14. They're coming off a 4-game split with the Dodgers in Colorado. That wrapped up yesterday. Rockies have won 6 of their 10 games at Coors Field so far this season, but they're just 3-10 on the road. Rockies and Padres played at Petco Park 2 weekends ago. Padres swept that 4-game series and outscored the Rockies 28-12 in those 4 games. Well, before we turn our full attention to this series in Denver, Padres played the rubber match of their 3-game series in Anaheim on Sunday afternoon. Let's rewind.
Did you miss what happened in the last Padres game? Let's take a look back with our Padres Rewind on the Padres Radio Network.
Angels rookie right-hander Walbert Urania and Michael King each tossed 3 scoreless innings to begin the day on Sunday. We had a scoreless game going to the top of the 4th inning. Fernando Tatis Jr. led off the inning with a single. He stole second base. Tatis was at second base with 2 men away for Xander Bogaerts.
Fernando leads, now the 0-1. Bogaerts on the ground up the middle. That is into center and a base hit. Tatis rounding third on his way. He will score, and Xander Bogaerts delivers again. RBI single with 2 outs, and the Padres take a 1-0 lead here in the 4th.
That's all the Padres scored in the 4th inning. Michael King continued to throw up zeros, but he had to work out of trouble a lot. King went 5 scoreless innings, but he needed 105 pitches to do it. He would give up just 1 hit, walked 4, hit a batter, but he left in line for the win. Urania pitched the scoreless top of the 6th inning. He was really good in his first major league start. 6 innings, 1 run allowed. Ron Marinaccio threw a scoreless bottom of the 6th inning. Padres then drew 2 walks against Urania to start the top of the 7th inning. Angels went to righty Sam Bachman out of the bullpen. Bachman retired the first 2 hitters he faced, but then it was Bryce Johnson.
Bachman deals. Bryce swings, hits it hard on the ground through the left side base hit. Bogaerts going to be waved. Lowe will come up throwing. Here's the throw to the plate. It's up the first base line. Bogaerts crosses the dish, and Bryce Johnson, second hit of the day, makes it 2-0 here in the 7th.
Padres had a 2-0 lead going bottom 7. Kyle Hart came on, allowed a couple of base runners. Padres went to righty Bradley Rodriguez with 2 runners in scoring position. He would allow an inherited runner to score with a ground out, but he was terrific from that point on. He threw an inning and 2/3 scoreless to get the game to the 9th inning. Padres still ahead 2-1. In the bottom of the 9th inning, it was Mason Miller on the hill.
2-2 now. The pitch to O'Hoppe. Swung on and missed. Strike 3. Back-to-back Ks for Miller to finish a 1-2-3 9th inning. His 8th save of the year. The Padres have won 5 straight series as they take 2 out of 3 in Anaheim with a 2-1 victory here this afternoon.
Another big win for the Padres. They keep it rolling, and now they take the show to Denver as they try to keep this hot stretch rolling. Padres playing great baseball as of late. First pitch coming up in Denver at 5:40 p.m. And again, right-hander Randy Vasquez on the mound in this series opener. As we get ready for this one, let's go to the altitude in Denver.
Let's take a trip up to the Padres broadcast booth for a deep dive on today's matchup with Jesse Agler in our Padres game preview on the Padres Radio Network.
Hi, Jesse. Good to talk to you as always. How was your off day in Denver yesterday?
Off day in Denver was great. Thank you, Sammy. Good little R&R kind of day. Just laid very low most of the afternoon. Went to dinner with Tony and the guys, and just had a very nice day to recharge the battery. Thank you for asking.
All right. Very, very nice. Padres playing good baseball right now. They entered today 15-7. They've won 13 of their past 15 games, 5 consecutive series. I did a radio interview yesterday and got asked essentially what the Padres are doing well right now. And it dawned on me, well, on one hand, they're playing super well. On the other hand, it's not like their star hitters are all clicking at once right now. Certainly, they've had questions about the rotation, injuries in the rotation. So, Jesse, if you were to zoom out, look at this stretch where they've won so many games, how would you explain how the Padres are getting it done?
Yeah, it's funny. I was talking to some of the Rockies guys about this earlier today, and my answer, not very scientific sounding, but I said they're playing good baseball.
Yeah.
It's kind of different on different nights, right? And, sometimes it's the bullpen getting it done. Sometimes it's Bryce Johnson coming through with a couple of hits. Sometimes it's a crazy walk-off, from a Xander Bogaerts or a Gavin Sheets. Different hero, different day kind of thing, and they're playing good team baseball. They're executing at a very high level. They're playing very good defense across the board. Bullpen obviously has been outstanding. The starting pitching a little bit up and down. They're not going home run crazy. As you noted, the star players are not, all hitting 380 or anything like that with a bunch of home runs, but they're just generally playing very good team baseball and playing, as I said, a brand of baseball that is just at a very high level of execution, winning baseball, if you will. And the cool thing about it is, as you noted, look, they're 8 games over 500. They've won 10 of 11, 13 of 15, and they're doing that without Fernando having hit a home run this year. They're doing that with Jackson. They just took 2 out of 3 in Anaheim without Jackson Merrill getting a hit. I mean, that's the kind of depth that you're looking at, with this team. And that's how it's a good team, that they're able to go out and do things like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well said. Let's focus on today's game. Randy Vasquez on the mound for the Padres, coming off his toughest start of the season against Seattle when he allowed 4 runs on 5 hits in 4 innings. If you look at Randy's history, Jesse, he's actually been very good in Colorado at the altitude, kind of classic Randy Vasquez, where he's dealt with a lot of base runners, but found ways to put together good outings. Although I got to say, I'm intrigued by sort of this improved version of Randy Vasquez at the altitude today because he has been so good.
Yeah, Rocky killer, Randy Vasquez. It'll be interesting, though, because, as you said, he's more of a strikeout guy now, or he's at least got the ability to collect more strikeouts now. Does that stuff play here? We'll find out. I don't know. The velocity ticking up in 2026 will play tonight. But it'll be interesting because he has been able to sort of dance out of trouble here in the past. But I think the most important piece of Randy Vasquez having success at Coors Field last year was a confidence thing and maybe a fearlessness thing. So many guys come to this building and they get on that mound that I'm looking at right now, and it's in their head before they ever throw a pitch. It's true. I've talked to a million guys who have, copped to that. And with very good reason, by the way, because your sinker doesn't sink the way it normally does. Your slider doesn't slud the way it normally does. Your curveball doesn't curve the way it normally does. And we can go down the list on and on and on. And Randy went out there twice last year and just seemed completely unbothered by all of that and had some really good outings and just sort of did what he always does and got very, very solid results. So, we'll see how it goes today. He is, as you noted, a different kind of pitcher this year than he was last year, but in a positive way. So it'll be fun to see him kind of attack Coors as Randy Vasquez 2.0.
Finally, Jesse, I wanted to talk about the Padres defense a little bit because we really haven't discussed it. They have been very, very good defensively so far this season, especially considering they're moving guys around. They got a lot of different guys playing one day after the other. Craig Stammen has done such a good job at getting everybody involved. Your thoughts on the Padres defense the early part of this season?
Yeah, it's definitely part of why they're, 15-7. And look, the easy ones to talk about are the home run robberies, right? Or the great play Manny makes crossing over the line and throwing across his body. Or Cronenworth had all those great diving plays in the first couple of weeks of the season. It seemed like he was making a Gold Glove play every single day. But they are just so solid defensively. It seems, I almost hesitate to say this out loud, broadcasters jinx, but it just seems like they make every play they're supposed to make. And that's the hallmark of a good team. And then, you do add in the ability for so many of those guys to make spectacular plays. You throw in the fact that Fernando has got as good of an arm in right field as anybody in the game. And, there's the possibility for some really special things. But, it's the little stuff that's so fun, right? The play where Cronenworth throws the guy out at the plate with an infield in situation, and just the ability to, again, execute, those little things that are the difference in big ways over the course of the long season. And they just, again, they play good baseball, whether it's offensively or defensively, generally on the bases. Another piece of the defense, that Tony's been great about calling out is the way the catchers and in credit to the pitchers too have controlled the running game this year. The stolen base attempts, other teams keep pushing it, and the Padres catchers, both Fermin and Camposano, keep throwing these guys out. The throws to second base have been great. The tags from Bogarts, Cronenworth, even Tatis yesterday, Sunday in Anaheim have been great. So it's really been a big part of why they are where they are, and it's sort of that very simple thing. They're just playing good baseball.
I like that you brought up the tags, because I was about to say the tagging. I know it sounds like a really little thing, but it's been good at second base and home plate. It's been noticeable the early part of this season. Padres continuing to play very, very good defense. Jesse, appreciate the time. We'll talk to you and Tony coming up at 5:30 here in San Diego. Thanks so much.
You got it, Sammy.
All right, that's Jesse Agler joining us on our EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show here on the Padres Radio Network as we get ready for first pitch coming up in less than 1 hour from Coors Field in Denver. It is a week of high above sea level for the Padres. They're playing 3 in Colorado and then 2 at the altitude in Mexico City Saturday and Sunday. So 5 straight games where it will be high above sea level, both these locations in Denver and Mexico City. Of course, the Padres taking on the D-backs Saturday and Sunday in Mexico City. But first things first, they try to keep it rolling in this 3-game series against the Colorado Rockies. Again, the Rockies coming off a series split against the Dodgers at home. That series wrapping up yesterday, Rockies falling to the Dodgers yesterday. When we come back, we'll hear from Padres manager Craig Stammen. A little bit later, I go one-on-one with Rockies first baseman and designated hitter TJ Rumfield. We also have a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard, our keys to today's game, and much, much more as we walk you up towards first pitch coming up in Denver at Coors Field right here on the Padres Radio Network. SoCal Padres pregame show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Sam Levitt with you inside our San Diego studios. First pitch coming up in Denver, Colorado at Coors Field at 5:40 p.m. for game one of this three-game series between the Padres and Rockies. As always, our pregame coverage brought to you by EcoWater SoCal, keeping it soft since 1925. Visit EcoWaterSoCal.com or call 760-350-3338. That's 760-350-3338. As always, on our pregame coverage, you're invited to get involved in a number of different ways. You can find me on X at Sammy Lev, SammyLev. Instagram DMs open as well. Sammy Lev there too, SammyLev. You can also chime in on the 97.3 The Fan YouTube stream. Let me know who you are, where you're tuned in from, and if you have a key to today's game, you can let me know what your key to the game is, and I may just read it live here on the air. We've got a comment here on YouTube from Bruce. Bruce saying there seems to be a trend going on in almost every game. Some unsung hero steps up to do something to help win that game. Who could it be tonight? Bruce, I'm with you. I thought Sunday, really good example of that. Bryce Johnson, 2 hits, including what ended up being the game-winning hit late in the game. Feels like a lot of these wins, there are a couple of guys you can point to, maybe guys you wouldn't expect that have big impacts on the game. So, Bruce, good point. We'll see who maybe it is tonight for the Padres in this series opener in Colorado. Taking a look at the Padres lineup today, looks like this. Ramon Laureano in left field leading off. Fernando Tatis Jr. in right field batting second. Jackson Merrill in center batting third. Manny Machado at third base batting cleanup. Xander Bogaerts, the shortstop, batting fifth. Gavin Sheets at first base batting sixth. Miguel Andujar, the DH, batting seventh. Freddie Fermin behind the plate batting eighth. And Jake Cronenworth at second base batting ninth, with right-hander Randy Vasquez on the mound. As we get ready for first pitch coming up at 5:40, let's go to Coors Field in Denver and hear from Padre manager Craig Stammen.
Let's pull up a seat in the manager's office and hear from Padres skipper Craig Stammen. Served up by Sinley Food. If you've had better chicken, you must be a rooster.
Craig, does it help at all having a day off coming into this ballpark just for guys to maybe get a little bit more acclimated to the air before you actually have to step on the field and compete?
Yeah, maybe a little bit. You just get used to the altitude and dryness and be able to hydrate a little bit more. So, and it's a beautiful place to have an off day too.
Yeah, no doubt. Any experiences that you have here in this ballpark? I mean, how was it for you to compete back when you were in the bullpen?
Yeah, it's always stressful for a pitcher, just because the ball flies here and the outfield's big, and there's just more opportunity for a big run inning, 4 or 5 run innings. They just happen here more often. But luckily for me, I pitched pretty well here. This was a solid place for me to come. I did all right. The luck was on my side. Said my prayers, and they were answered.
Do you remember doing anything differently to try to compensate, or was it the exact opposite, not doing anything different?
I think my strategy was definitely to pitch backwards a lot. So no fastballs and hitter counts, off speed. And if I was throwing off speed, making sure it got to the spot and really accounting for it not being able to break. So always kind of throwing a pitch and knowing that it wasn't going to move was my strategy, which was kind of my strategy all the time, which is why I felt like I had to command the ball. But ironically enough, my sinker played really well here. It didn't have as much horizontal movement, but it had more sink and it just went straight down. So it almost acted like a splitter. And paired that with good command, I did all right here.
Why do you think there was? Was it because the ball is dry and so it came out of your hand differently to get that sink, or any ideas why that might have been?
I have no idea.
Okay. You just enjoyed it.
Yeah, well, I don't know if I enjoyed it, but I got out of here unscathed.
Yeah. Randy's pitched well here his last couple of times. Anything to that in terms of his stuff might play well here, or is it more a mentality of just knowing, you got to compete in these types of environments? What do you think his secret has been?
Yeah, I think one thing Randy does really well is he competes even with runners on base. He's never going to give in. He's always going to, throw one of his best pitches. And so I think that serves him well in an environment like this. Just be ultra competitive and not worry about your pitch metrics, what your pitches are doing, but just be able to go, I'm going to get this guy out somewhere or another. And that's kind of what Randy does.
Can you talk a little bit about the defense? It hasn't been talked about enough, I think, in some cases. I mean, you have the guys with the third fewest errors in Major League Baseball, and making some spectacular plays, robbing home runs, but also making the basic plays. How important has that been for you guys so far?
Yeah, we've played really good defense. I think the key to playing great defense is just make the ordinary plays, be extraordinary at the ordinary. We've kind of preached that since spring training, and we see us out there working right now on our defensive stuff. It's nothing. We're not diving all over the place, making the crazy plays. We're just making the ordinary plays and trying to be great at them. And then couple that with some great players, it adds into good defense.
That was Padres manager Craig Stammen earlier inside the Padres dugout. We'll hear more from Craig on our postgame coverage coming up later on this evening. Sam Levitt back with you inside our San Diego studios as we get ready for first pitch coming up at 5:40. We send things out to Jesse Agler and Bob Scanlon tonight. You know what? No, Tony on. Okay. I don't know. I got confused for a second. Sorry. I don't know why I said that. Anyway. All right. Jesse and Tony with you tonight from Coors Field in Colorado. Got to get my scheduling right. All right. Let's take a look at who's hot, who's not.
Which player is locked in at the dish? Who needs to step up their game? This is Who's Hot, Who's Not. Presented by ASAP Drain Guys and Plumbing, a division of Anderson Commercial, your full-service plumber serving San Diego County.
Let's begin with a look at the hot category. Fernando Tatis Jr. in the hot category. Yes, he does not have a home run. We'll talk more about that a little bit later. But Fernando is still batting .385 with 7 RBIs in his last 8 games. So he's in the hot category. Xander Bogaerts joins him there in his last 13 games. Bogey batting .362 with a .455 on base percentage, 3 home runs, and 11 RBIs in those 13 games. The not category. Well, a happy belated birthday to Jackson Merrill, who turned 23 years old on Sunday, but unfortunately took another 0 for on Sunday. Had a rough series in Anaheim over the weekend, 0 for 13, and he struck out 7 times in the 3 games. So we'll see if Jackson can get it going in Denver here tonight. And that's a look at who's hot, who's not as we get ready for this series opener against the Rockies. Now let's take you around the horn.
Let's examine the most important news and the latest information you need to know in the world of Major League Baseball. Sam Levitt takes you around the horn. Presented by Valley View Casino and Hotel. Get ready for Major League winning when you join Valley View Casino and Hotel's Players Club and receive over $200 in free instant offers. Visit valleyviewcasino.com to learn more today.
Well, the New York Mets are trying to snap an 11-game losing streak today, and good news for them. They have an early lead against the Twins in New York right now. We'll have a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard coming up a little bit later. They are expected to have Juan Soto rejoin the team tomorrow. He has been on the IL with a calf strain, but apparently Soto expected to come off the IL tomorrow. Phillies ace Zach Wheeler, who has been out since August because of a blood clot found near his right shoulder that led to thoracic outlet surgery. He will return to what is a struggling Phillies rotation on Saturday in Atlanta. Remember, that was big news late last year when Wheeler had that blood clot, ended up missing the remainder of the season, but he will return to the Phillies on Saturday against the Braves. Speaking of the Braves, they put their closer Raisel Iglesias on the IL earlier today. He had been feeling discomfort in his right shoulder since sleeping on it wrong on Friday night. MRI showed no structural damage to that shoulder, and Robert Suarez, who signed with the Braves this past offseason, the former Padre, will assume closer duties while Iglesias is out. Red Sox putting veteran right-hander Sonny Gray on the 15-day IL today with a right hamstring strain. Orioles are getting back their catcher Adley Rutschman from the IL today. Rutschman has not played since April 10th because of left ankle inflammation. Dodgers closer Edwin Diaz is scheduled to undergo surgery tomorrow to remove loose bodies in his right elbow. The expectation is that the reliever could sit out for around 3 months. So he's going to be out a while. His velocity had been down. Diaz not pitching very well, and it turns out he has loose bodies in that elbow. He will get surgery. And finally, Twins, before that game against the Mets today, they reinstated third baseman Royce Lewis from the IL. He had been on the IL with a left knee injury. And that's a look at some of the headlines from around the major leagues. Again, we'll have a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard coming up in just a little bit. When we come back, we give you the latest on Griffin Canning and Jeremiah Estrada. We also give you our keys to today's game. Plus, I go one-on-one with Rockies rookie, that tripped me up. Rockies rookie TJ Rumfield. A lot to do on our pregame coverage. First pitch coming up at 5:40 in Denver, right here on the Padres Radio Network. Padres baseball coming up here on 97.3 The Fan and the Padres Radio Network. First pitch in Denver, Colorado at 5:40 p.m. Padres trying to keep it going. They've won 13 of 15 entering today, 5 consecutive series, and now begin the second leg of this 3-city road trip to Anaheim, Denver, and Mexico City. With this series opener tonight against the Rockies, Randy Vasquez making the start for the Padres in game 1 of this 3-game set. I go one-on-one with Rockies rookie TJ Rumfield in just a moment. But first, let's give you the latest on both Griffin Canning and Jeremiah Estrada.
Who's in? Who's out? This is the Bada Fulkerson Injury Report, presented by San Diego's Bulldog Injury Attorneys, who hope you're never in an accident. But if you are, make Bada Fulkerson the first call you make. Hit them up 24/7 at BadaFulkerson.com.
Couple of guys to focus on today. Griffin Canning will make his fourth rehab start tomorrow for AAA El Paso. He threw 67 pitches in his last rehab outing, so you would assume he'll probably be somewhere around 80-something pitches if all goes well tomorrow for AAA El Paso. And once he gets to around 80, he may just about be ready to rejoin the Padres. So we'll see. He's basically going through what is a spring training progression as he works his way back from that Achilles injury that he suffered last season with the Mets that ended his year. But Griffin Canning making his fourth rehab start at AAA tomorrow. Jeremiah Estrada is playing catch and throwing plyo balls less than 2 weeks after going on the IL with elbow tendonitis as he continues to work his way back. And those are the two big updates for you today on Canning and Estrada. Well, the young TJ Rumfield is in the lineup today for the Rockies. He is the designated hitter and batting cleanup. TJ, a rookie with the Rockies, having a nice start to his major league career, batting .253 in 23 games, 3 home runs, 11 RBIs. Got off to a very, very hot start, has cooled down a little bit. Has a pretty interesting story, drafted by the Phillies in the 12th round in 2021, eventually got traded to the Yankees. And then this past offseason, Yankees dealt him to the Rockies. I caught up with TJ Rumfield, the Rockies rookie, earlier. TJ, how have the big leagues been so far?
It's been a blast so far. I can't wipe the smile off my face, so it's just dream come true.
Yeah, you've had quite the journey here when you consider you were drafted by the Phillies. You got traded a couple of times, including this past winter, to the Rockies. How would you describe your journey to this point through college and through the minor leagues?
Exactly that, a journey. It's never a guaranteed thing that you're going to make it to the big leagues. So it was just always like put your head down and go to work as hard as you can and let the cards fall where they may. And they just so happen to put me here, which is a blessing. So
you spent a number of years in the Yankees organization, put up really good numbers in the minor leagues. You get traded to Colorado. When you did get traded, what was your initial reaction going to the Rockies?
I feel like I was very excited just for the opportunity to compete. With the Yankees, I was a little stuck there, so it was kind of just hard to compete for a spot on a big league roster. So it was more so just happy for the opportunity to just compete.
Right. I feel like it's something in the minor leagues that we don't talk about a lot, which is guys can perform really well, but if there's not that lane, that avenue for them to get to the big leagues, it can be tough. And I'm sure mentally it can be tough as well. From your perspective, what is sometimes difficult about that? If you feel like you're doing everything you can do on the field, but maybe that opportunity with that specific organization just isn't coming.
Yeah, I think as a player, you just got to sit back and like really know why you're playing this game. Are you playing this game to, be in the big leagues, or are you playing this game because you love it? And you'll do everything you can to, play this game as long as you can, and everything else will kind of figure itself out. So just your motives as a player, I feel like that can change your perspective a lot on the whole situation.
We're joined by the Rockies' TJ Rumfield as we get ready for today's game on the Padres radio network. TJ, you got off to a really nice first couple of weeks in the major leagues. What have you noticed about facing major league pitching to this point?
They're relentless, and it's just one of those things that you have to be on your best at all times because they're on their best. And if they're not, then you are, and if you aren't, then they're not. So it's just one of those things where you gotta, bring everything you can to the table, and hopefully, baseball works out.
TJ, Warren Schaefer, your manager, had the interim tag last year, was made the full-time skipper heading into this season. How would you describe Warren Schaefer as a manager?
One word: consistent. He's just one of the guys that what you're going to get every day. That he's doing his best to win a baseball game. He's taken his 26 guys and he's going to use it to the best of his ability, and I feel like he's doing a great job of that so far.
TJ, appreciate the time. Talk to you again down the road. Thank you.
Thank you, Sam.
That was Rockies rookie TJ Rumfield, who's in the lineup today for the Rockies, DHing and batting cleanup. Big thank you again for TJ for taking the time inside the Rockies clubhouse. Rumfield, a part of a Rockies offense that likes to swing early in at-bats. The Rockies are hitting .452 as a team on the first pitch of an at-bat, all the highest mark in the major leagues, also highest on base percentage and slugging percentage at .472 and .750 respectively on first pitches of an at-bat. They lead the majors in first pitch hits at 47 and OPS at 1222. So I bring it up to say you've got to be careful with this Rockies lineup on the very first pitch of an at-bat. They like to swing early, and typically when they do swing early, some good things happen. So something to keep in mind here tonight and throughout this series. We'll talk a little bit more about the Rockies in just a little bit, but first, let's take a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard.
Let's take a trip around the bigs to highlight the scores that matter most with our out-of-town scoreboard. Presented by Jensen Premium Beef Patties. Always a hit for grilling.
We have a number of games going on right now. Astros lead the Guardians 4-2 in Cleveland in the 7th inning. Reds 5, Rays nothing in Tampa Bay right now in the 6th inning. Brewers lead the Tigers 3-1 in Detroit in the 6th. Cardinals lead the Marlins 5-1 in Miami in the 5th. Nationals 4, Braves 2 in D.C. End of the 4th inning there. Yankees and the Red Sox tonight at Fenway in Boston. 6th inning there. Yankees a 3-0 lead. Mets over the Twins right now in the 4th inning in New York. 3-0. Mets trying to snap an 11-game losing skid. Orioles lead the Royals 3-0 in Kansas City in the 2nd inning. Phillies and Cubs at Wrigley right now. 3rd inning, no score there. Pirates leading the Rangers 1-0 in Arlington early in the 1st inning. Games coming up a little bit later. Aside from this one, Blue Jays and the Angels in Anaheim, A's and the Mariners in Seattle, White Sox and the Diamondbacks in Arizona, and the Dodgers and Giants coming up later in San Francisco. And that is a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard on this Tuesday. First pitch coming up at 5:40 in Denver. Game 1 of this 3-game series between the Padres and Rockies. Let's give you our keys to tonight's game.
How will the Padres unlock a win today? These are the keys to the game on the Padres Radio Network.
Key number 1. Do it again against the Rocks. I'm talking about the Padres offense. The Padres hitters were awesome against the Rockies in the 4-game series. A couple of weekends ago in San Diego, Padres hitters in that 4-game series. Padres swept that 4-game series. They generated 28 runs on 35 hits. 17 of those hits went for extra bases. Think about that. Nearly half their hits in that series were extra base hits. 8 doubles, 9 home runs. They also drew 22 walks. Padres had a team OPS of 922 in that 4-game series. So Padres at the altitude in Denver, they got to have those bats show up once again. That's key number 1. Key number 2, Randy V against Doyle and Tovar. Couple of guys in this Rockies lineup that have had a lot of success against Randy Vasquez, and both are in the lineup today. Brenton Doyle being one of them. He's 6 for 14 with 2 doubles and a home run against Vasquez in his career. That home run came in the game on April 9th in San Diego. Ezequiel Tovar, 8 for 15 with 3 doubles in his career against Randy, but Tovar is ice cold right now. He's just 5 for 34 in his past 10 games. But Randy having success against those two guys who typically hit him well, that's a big key. Key number 2. Key number 3, we mentioned this earlier with Jesse. Padres have played really good defense so far this year. In fact, they have not committed an error in 11 games, their longest streak since going 16 games without an error to begin the 2022 season. So keep playing good defense. That's key number 3. Key number 4. Slow down the Rockies' running game. Rockies have stolen 24 bases this season. That's tied for 4th most in the major leagues. Their 34 stolen base attempts are 2nd most in the major leagues. So this is a team that likes to get out and run. Padres have actually been very good at limiting opponents' running games as of late. We'll see how they do that today against a Colorado team that does like to steal bases. And that's a look at our keys to today's game. When we come back, we dive even deeper into today's pitching matchup, including a look at right-hander Randy Vasquez. Plus, we tell you what to watch for in today's game. A little hint, it has to do with El Nino. First pitch coming up at 5:40 in Denver, game one of this three-game series as the Padres try to keep it rolling. Winners of 13 out of their last 15 games. We continue after this. Moving and grooving on this Tuesday early evening as we get ready for Padres baseball coming up here on the Padres Radio Network. First pitch at 5:40 in Denver for game one of this three-game series between the Padres and Rockies. We send things out to Jesse Agler and Tony Gwynn Jr. in 7 minutes. They come your way with a full look at today's starting lineups, first pitch, and all the play-by-play. We'll tell you what to watch for in just a moment. Also a deeper look at today's starting pitcher, Randy Vasquez, but something to watch here today and throughout the rest of this road trip, certainly Mason Miller aiming for the longest consecutive scoreless inning streak in Padres history. His scoreless inning on Sunday afternoon, picking up the save against the Angels, extended his streak going back to last August to 32 2/3 innings in the regular season. He's now one scoreless inning away from tying Clay Meredith, who set the Padres franchise record with 33 2/3 consecutive scoreless innings back in 2006. So Miller needs 3 more outs without giving up a run to tie Clay Meredith for the longest scoreless inning streak in Padres history. He needs 4 outs, essentially an inning and a third, to make the record his own. So he is getting very, very close. And of course, he has been as dominant as anybody in baseball the early part of this season. He's been automatic in that closer's role for the Padres. And we'll see if Mason does appear with an opportunity to tie or even surpass that consecutive scoreless innings record in Padres franchise history here tonight or throughout this series. First pitch coming up at 5:40. Let's tell you what to watch for in tonight's game.
What's the one thing Sam Levitt will be keeping his eye on in today's game? This is What to Watch For. Presented by Genesis Home Improvements, San Diego's trusted painting, roofing, and window company. Save 15% today on a new beginning for your home. Visit GenesisHomeImprovements.com.
What to watch for in tonight's game is tonight or tomorrow or Thursday V-Day. Fernando. I'm talking about Fernando Tatis Jr. finally hitting his first home run of the season, because based on how hard Fernando has hit the ball this season, it almost seems inconceivable that he would leave the altitude in Denver without a home run in the box score one of these games. Fernando quite literally leads Major League Baseball in hard hit percentage. He has a higher percentage of batted balls hit at 95 miles per hour or higher than any other player in the majors. However, he still doesn't have a home run this season. It's April 21st. So what am I watching for tonight and tomorrow if it doesn't happen tonight, or quite frankly, Thursday if it doesn't happen the first two games of this series? Is Fernando finally going to get one out? Coors Field would seem like a pretty good place to do it. Let's dive into today's pitching matchup, including a look at Padres righty Randy Vasquez.
Let's break down how today's starters are shaping up with our starting pitching preview on the Padres Radio Network.
Randy Vasquez about to make his fifth start of the season, 2.49 ERA so far this year in 21 innings and 2/3. He struck out 25, walked 8. Entered his last start with a 1.02 ERA, the lowest in the National League, but then allowed 4 runs on 5 hits in 4 innings against the Mariners. Tonight will be his 8th career start against the Rockies. Faced them on April 9th in San Diego when 5 2/3 innings allowed just 1 run on 7 hits. As we said a little bit earlier, gave up a solo home run to Brenton Doyle in that game. His last 2 starts at Coors Field, the 2 he made last year with the Padres, they were both starts of 6 innings and quality outings, 12 innings combined, 4 earned runs given up on 14 hits, 3 home runs allowed, but Padres won both games. They were very high-scoring games, but Randy put together quality starts in Denver, so he'll try to do that again here tonight. The pitching situation for the Rockies today, they'll open with right-hander Jimmy Herget, 1.64 ERA in 10 appearances this season. This is the 3rd time he's playing an opener role. 2nd time this year he's done it against the Padres. Plan is to once again have right-hander Chase Dollander get the bulk innings today. He has a 3.32 ERA in 5 outings this season. Dollander did this against the Padres on April 9th. He went 4 innings and a third, gave up 1 run on 4 hits. So Colorado going with the opener, and then Dollander expected to get the bulk innings. And that's a look at the pitching situation for both the Padres and the Rockies. As always, you've been listening to the EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show here on 97.3 The Fan and the Padres Radio Network. Well, the Padres go to Colorado, the hottest team in baseball. They've won 5 consecutive series, 13 of their past 15 games. Can they keep it rolling at the altitude in Denver? We're going to find out. When we come back, we send it to the broadcast booth at Coors Field. Jesse and Tony have the full starting lineups, first pitch, and all the play-by-play. I'll talk to you on our post-game coverage. You're listening to your home for San Diego Padres baseball, 97.3 The Fan, and the Padres Radio Network.